I keep noodling the same licks and phrases every single day. I'm always soloing over the exact same chord progression, and I can't really come up with anything original. Whether you're an amateur or a pro, feeling uninspired happens to every guitar player at some point. But here are a couple tricks you can use and that I use to make guitar playing exciting again. So many guitar players every day try to get out of their playing routine because they're pretty much noodling the same licks and phrases every single day. I have developed a couple tricks that are actually pretty effective, at least that work for me, when it comes to these kinds of situations. And that's what I want to share with you, so let's get started. The first thing that I do when I notice that I play the same thing every day and I can't get any creativity going is I actually change the tuning. Now, why do I change the tuning? That's because on a guitar, certain notes ring differently when the guitar is tuned in a different tuning. And the riff that you're about to hear is actually proof for that, because it basically wouldn't exist had I not tuned down my telly to C sharp standard. Let's listen to it real quick and then we can discuss it. So this entire song is pretty much built around this riff. The thing is, it actually doesn't sound as good on an E standard tuned guitar. In fact, in E standard it would actually sound like this. Which to me doesn't sound inspiring at all. Meaning, had I come across this riff in E standard, I probably wouldn't have recorded it because it probably wouldn't have sounded inspiring to me in that particular moment. It needed that C sharp standard tuning to actually sound interesting to my ears. Try a different tuning. Different tunings make your guitar drone differently, especially certain chords really shine in different tunings. And that way you can get your creativity back and your excitement for playing something that is maybe original, or it may just sound so unusual to you that you just have fun doing that. And that's pretty much the point of playing guitar, right? Trick number 2 to get your inspiration back and the excitement for guitar is actually one that I recently used myself. And that is rediscover old stuff that you used to love. The song that you're about to hear is actually a great example of that, because I actually wrote the tune that you're about to hear 11 years ago, and I kind of rediscovered it, played along to it, and it absolutely sparked my fire again for that riff. I'll tell you more about that in a second. Here it is. Why is it inspiring to go back and listen to something that you used to love? In my opinion, part of it is you're kind of rediscovering something you haven't heard in a couple of years. You just shelf the project, a song, a riff or whatever. But then when you go back and listen to it, you find all these little details that you originally didn't even notice, but now you're noticing it and you're completely aware. And that awareness and that coming full circle kind of thing, where you're kind of rediscovering your old love, that is sometimes a feeling that just inspires you to start playing guitar again. At least it does it for me. Going back in time and rediscovering all the songs that you used to like so much is actually a really cool trick to get excited about playing guitar again. And trick number 3, and this is actually one of the most effective ones I found, and that is actually getting inspired by other instruments. We as guitar players are so locked in our own perspective of music because we basically see it through the eyes of frets and 6 strings. But rarely do we actually realize that other instruments are played completely differently, and that the note choice of different instruments is because these instruments are built differently. For instance, if you try and play a track that was written by a piano player, you will notice that the chord changes and the things you have to do on the fretboard are so unusual. We really aren't used to the kinds of chord progressions and different patterns that, for instance, piano players come up with. If you get inspired by other instruments too, and I have an example for you in just a second, that actually breaks some barriers in your brain and actually makes you want to play guitar again, because you realize all the possibilities that this instrument has to offer if you just see it through a different lens. And here's an example of me doing that. I imitated not another instrument, I imitated some vocals. Listen to that. Imitated Mick Jagger's voice in the song Give Me Shelter. And what I did was pretty much, I made a solo out of his vocal line in the verse. And this is exactly what I'm talking about when I say we need to look at other instruments too to get inspiration. The vocal line that Mick Jagger uses is not based on a guitar riff. He just sings whatever he feels like. And that results into me playing my pentatonic licks completely differently because I have to mimic his voice. And just like that, I played a couple new licks that I would have never played because just looking at the scale you would play differently, but since you want to mimic another instrument or a vocal line in this case, but this vocal line is so different that all your pentatonic playing sounds so different from what it usually sounds like. And that ultimately leads to excitement again, and possibly to new licks that you can add to your repertoire. And ultimately it makes you reach your goal because now you're sounding completely different for a change. But now, since I'm also here to learn, I want to know, is there anything you do to get out of your playing routine and actually do something new? Let me know in the comments. And last thing before I go, if you like my videos, if you like my playing, my solos, subscribe to this channel. I do this stuff all the time. I've been Joey, and I'll see you in the next one.